Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I thought we'd have a little bit of fun and talk about DAX. No, I don't want to talk about DAX. I don't know if I ever want to talk about DAX, to be honest with you. I had no idea so many of you felt so strongly about DAX. We'll get to DAX. I think that's something that we're going to have to go back and revisit. I just don't want to do it today because I want to have some fun today. Because I was drinking my coffee this morning and I was thinking about the times in my HIFI journey that have stood out and impacted me in such a way that it's been like a paradigm shift in terms of how I think. And I wanted to share these stories with you because I think it's important that you understand kind of as much as best you can understand where I come from. But I think it's also important for you to know what events in my HIFI journey have helped to shape my particular point of view. Because at the end of the day, if you're subscribed to this channel, thank you very much, and you watch and you listen to what I have to say, it's because at some level, you either like, agree, or find some value in what it is that I have to say, or you just straight up hate watch me, in which case, why? Other than that, I thought it would be fun. I thought it would be fun because these are stories that I don't readily talk about or share, but they may be of some benefit to you. And I do also want to say that I am not using these stories to call anyone out. I'm not sharing this information to undermine anybody in any way, shape, or form. These are purely meant to be entertainment and informative and anecdotal. They do not illustrate a point of view being more right than another. It's just some things that have happened in my HIFI journey that have helped shape my opinions that I thought maybe you would find some use in. All right, disclaimer, full disclosure, here we go. The first one being when I got hired as a professional or working writer or reviewer. Not being hired by a manufacturer to write puff pieces about their gear, but when a publication hired me and paid me for my work in order to review gear. And I was 19 or 20 years old, I think, I forget exactly. And I earned my stripes, paid my dues, whatever you want to call it, reviewing remote controls and power strips. That's how I got started. I reviewed like every Logitech remote, every universal remote on the market, and I reviewed power strips because at that time, 1999, 2000, power strips were a thing. It wasn't just something that you got from a local hardware store. Like Audiophile power strips were a thing, and so that's what I reviewed, and it was eye-opening because it was such a challenge to try and figure out ways to make those types of products interesting for 3,000 words. But it did open the door for me to then begin to review AV receivers, speakers, preamps, amplifiers, and then eventually I went from being a staff writer to a senior writer to an associate editor to then a managing editor. And I wouldn't have been able to do that had someone not taken a chance on me at 19 years old and sending me remote controls of all things to review. And, over my career, I've done classes, I've gone to lectures, I've met with truly some of the most influential people in this business. Like I'm not saying the breadth of my knowledge is so awe-inspiring, but the presence, the time I got to spend with truly remarkable and ingenious designers and thinkers, I will forever be grateful for. I will. And that was the initial aha moment. I was an audio, hi-fi fan enthusiast as a teen. But when I joined kind of the professional working AV press, if you will, it blew everything wide open. And I cannot imagine my life today, what it might look like had that never occurred. The second came it came like 12 to 13 years later. Now I know in between that span, there had to have been so many pieces of juicy, tasty gear and trade shows and travels, and there was, but my journey up until that point had been very linear, where you started on the ground floor, Then you got better, more expensive, more expensive, more expensive. Then you're the editor, and all of a sudden, like, cost no object components are, they're just showing up. And that's not like, ooh, woe is me, whatever. But it's like that's the trajectory, you're just like, everything's just getting better and more expensive. And when you get to the top, it's like you run out of things to be amazed by because everything's amazing. And so 12 to 13 years into my journey, I was invited to an event, and we all went down to Harman in Southern California, where we got to participate in their now infamous or famous double-blind listening test. And for those of you that don't know what this is, Harman has a listening room whereby you are taken into basically a black box with nothing but an acoustically transparent screen in front of you. You're given a clipboard, and you are told essentially that you are going to hear 3, 4, 5, 6 different products. They don't tell you which ones they are, and various selections of music. And you're going to hear it over and over again in random order. And your only job, or the only thing Harman wants you to do, is put in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, or A, B, C, D, E, F, G, which product they say you're listening to, be it product A or product 1, put them in order of what you simply prefer, what you hear. And then at the end, they reveal to you the results in terms of product A was speaker this, product B was speaker that. And it's completely automated. Not even the person conducting the test or giving you the instructions knows what is happening behind the screen. And I think the test included 5 different loudspeakers, if memory serves. And we were in there for about 15, 20 minutes. At the end of which, we walked out of that theater and were given the results. And no one, not one person in that room, including some of the people that designed the loudspeaker we were supposedly there to hear, picked it as the winner 100% of the time. Yeah. In fact, of all the loudspeakers, of which Bowers & Wilkins was included, a Martin Logan was included, I believe a Wilson was included, and 2 Harman products, a Revel Salon 2 Tower and an Infinity Kappa bookshelf speaker. I'm talking like a $300-400 bookshelf speaker. I believe, if memory serves, those were the 5 products that were used in the double-blind testing. Not only did not everyone pick out the Revel Salon 2 every single time, but they didn't even pick it as their first choice the majority of the time. And sometimes, and in one of the tests, the unanimous pick, I think there were 15 of us or so in the room, but the unanimous pick at one point in one of the tests was the cheapest bookshelf speaker in the test, was the $400 Infinity. But in another test, everyone picked one of the Bowers & Wilkins, or it was a tie between the Bowers & Wilkins and the Revel. The point was that when all other sources of influence were taken away, what did people gravitate towards? And it blew my mind. Because I, like many people in that room, thought or just assumed that we've been at this a long time. I've heard everything. I'm not only going to be able to pick out the speaker, but I'm going to pick it as number 1 every time because it's just going to be like that. And it wasn't. It wasn't. And that was a truly, truly eye-opening experience for me in a good way, because it let me know that I didn't have it all figured out, that I didn't know everything, and that I wasn't to be certain about anything, and that there was still room, even at the highest end, to be surprised and amazed. And it made the job fun for me again. Because up until that point, I had become so certain, so sure. I just knew what was good. I just knew what was best. I was the taste maker, And that was a humbling experience. That was a very humbling experience coming out of that room. And we were all laughing and joking, but driving home and realizing I don't know shit. Because if even the designer, or designers of that particular loudspeaker didn't choose their own product every single time, who am I? And that was just awesome. And my third and final example of things that have kind of shook me or changed the way that I look at things or changed the way that I approach the hobby was partially inspired by the Harman test. A few years ago when I worked for an AV manufacturer, those of you that follow me and know my history will know who I'm talking about. But we were conducting a trade show, and they were rolling out a new product. It was a preamp of sorts. And, you know, we were, for days leading up to that trade show, we were trying to, you know, drill down the demo material. And we got it down to about 5 or 6 pieces, at the end of which, you know, we were trying to figure out like, okay, we're going to hook up several different, you know, Blu-ray players and just switch between them so we don't have that lag. And that's when I just said, you know, hey, let me take this stuff home. I'll rip those chapters to one central disc, bit for bit, you know, 1 to 1, and we'll just have one disc, hit play and go. Oh my God, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Okay, great. So I took it home and I did that. I took 5 scenes, ripped them all down 1 to 1 with the full multi-channel audio streams and the whole 9 yards. And, you know, no funny business. But then after I made the master disc, I made a second disc. In which case I down converted the video to SD, and I only kept the stereo angle or track off of each disc and each scene. And so basically you had an SD stereo only master disc. And I brought them both to the trade show. And I told a few people what I had done. And I was saying that, hey, you know, just for fun, I'm going to put the stereo disc in. And no one seemed to care, you know, it's a trade show and there's so many things going on and whatnot. And some people even in the side of the company thought it was funny. Like, oh yeah, let's do it. Let's play with people, because they're going to notice. They're going to notice right away. And they're going to be like, hey, what's going on? You know? So we did it. And we did it for the majority of the day, where people were watching an SD feed, 480p feed, and listening to a stereo track that was being matrixed to 12.2, I think it was 12.2, it might have been 12.4, but it was a stereo feed that the product that this company made was interpolating or extrapolating, however, whatever word you want to use, to surround sound. And not one person, including one of the higher up at the company that didn't know what we had done, not one person noticed when we did it. And I think we were all floored by that. And that solidified to me the power of suggestion, the power of bias, the power of cult of personality, if you will. And that if you're bought in, if you believe, if you trust in what you're seeing and hearing, you'll make it so. You will. And that isn't to discredit anything in high end. That's not to take any of the science out of this. It only reinforces that the science is of equal importance to the bias, to the individual. And why, at the end of the day, I personally do not care about what you like or what you don't like. When I review something, all I come at a review about is, who do I think this is for? And will they get what I believe they're looking for out of it? And if that is a yes answer, then that makes it a good product. That makes it a product worth considering. Like, you can put 2 amplifiers on a bench and go, look, this amplifier churns out 100 watts because it says it churns out 100 watts and churns out 100 watts. And the distortion figure is minimal to none. While this amplifier says it churns out 100 watts, only does 90, and has a little bit more distortion. But then, so on paper, the first amp I just described is better, right? It is better. But if I play them for the same person, or if I play them for 100 people, 70 might pick the second amp over the first one, or vice versa. So which one's right? Which one's better? I don't know. And that's the point, is I don't know. And that's awesome. That's so awesome to not know, because it leaves so much room for discovery and fun. And that's what I think is missing from the hobby. And that's what I want everything that we do here to be about, is fun and exploration. And yeah, if it challenges your way of thinking, then let it challenge the way that you think. The worst that can happen is you can be proven right. Like, seriously, that's the worst thing that can happen, is you're proven right. Because if you're proven wrong, what doors of possibility are now open to you? And that's what I want to leave this video on. That's really what I want to leave this video on, is leaving room for amazement, joy, fun, and just possibility. Anyway, thank you guys so very much for watching. If you like this video, please do like, comment, and subscribe. If you don't like this video, hit the thumbs down, let me know. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got. So thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, the only person that has to like the sound of your system is you. So happy listening, everybody. And until next time, we'll see you on the next video.